Greetings. I am doing another video on how to beat Holly, the chess.com holiday bot, Mrs. Claus. And I can tell you she is tough. And this is going to be a little bit different than some of my other chess videos that I make. If you hang with me, there's some interesting things towards the end game. I become down in material and I hang in there. So the biggest takeaway for this is to know what squares you own, what your opponent owns, constantly stop and evaluate, and just try to look even just 2 moves ahead and see what you'll own and what your opponent owns. I can tell you when I played this game, it took me a little over an hour. But that's the beauty of these bots. That's why I love them so much. Is zero pressure. Take your time with them. And this, I better get to it because there was 70 moves. I played the white pieces and ended here. And it was a very tight game. Computer said that roughly we both played at 73%. I played at 73.3%. And Mrs. Claus played at 72.9%. And so let's get to it here. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I just did the classic E4 opening, followed by the F3 knight. Okay, so I'll show you something about this opening. This is, I used this opening so many times. And here, I'm going to, reevaluate. I'm going to take a look at this. I like to get my bishop here in this very same pattern, and I realize this could happen, and I need to take a closer look at my opening. I might need to tighten that up a little bit. But anyway, this is what happened in the game. Computer says a mistake. Computer knows better than I do, so I am going to take a look at it. I know these 3 pawns over here can cause a lot of trouble in this position, but I don't know. It's a chance I always take, and maybe that's bad. I need to take a look at that. Anyway, I'm trying to help the audience battle Holly, so I need to get to it. I'm just going to think out loud as I go through this, the good and the bad. And this is exactly probably why the computer said it's not a good idea, because I moved that bishop twice, and I'm sure, as all of you know, when you're opening, try to avoid moving a piece twice, because most games, when they're evenly matched, only last on average like 42 moves. And if you move a piece twice, it's almost like you're sacrificing a turn, and one turn can make all the difference in the world. So even if it happens in the opening of a game, so try to avoid moving a piece twice. So that, like I just did. Okay, so I do some unorthodox things here in just a minute that might help you against Holly. I played a little bit on intuition, and one thing, let me go back just a second. One of my pet peeves is when you just promote these little wing pawns to stop things from happening. I mean, it works, but I feel like it's not really developing anything. But in this situation, I mean, I'm going to sound a little hypocritical. It worked for me in this situation, but I normally try to not spend a turn just pushing up a pawn. But sometimes it works. Okay. But as a general rule of thumb, I try not to do that. But one thing about chess is, one general rule of thumb is the general rules of thumb don't always work. So let's get back to it. Okay. So, and this, I kind of surprised myself. I normally, in this position, I usually put the bishop here. I really do. And I don't know. I just like, you know what? I'm going to try it a little different this time. Again, the beauty of the bots. And I need to keep this thing going, or we're never going to get to some of this fascinating stuff. Now here, this was just a completely kooky idea that I had, and I really don't even know what I was thinking exactly. I just wanted to, open up this bishop pair, and I got the queen over here. The knight, for some things that I had in mind, which wasn't a whole lot. I don't know exactly what I had in mind. Just future ideas of having this bishop pair lined up, supported by the queen. and this knight was really in my way. And so, but that doesn't mean I should just throw it away like this. I just kind of wanted to see what Holly would do, and I'm not a strong enough player to get too bold. I try to just stick to some fundamentals, but yeah, I surprised myself with this game. I squeaked out a win, barely, but I was trying some new stuff here, folks. So, okay. So I decided, yeah, I am going to take that pawn. I figured if nothing else, if I can close off this white bishop, white squared bishop, you know, even if it's its own piece sitting here or something, just to kind of, I don't want this white squared bishop to eye my king. So I thought, you know, this gives me future ideas, does a little threatening at the same time, and it takes, and I kind of figured it would, but that's okay. So here, computer says a mistake, and computer knows better than I do, I would agree. I'm just trying to really lay down the hammer on this king side. I want this opened up. It's a closed file right now. I want it to be an open file in the future. When you're playing at this level, it's all about future ideas. You know, getting a major piece underneath the pawn and pushing the pawn. You know, getting things lined up with kings, even if it's protected, you know, but something could happen in the game where it won't be protected. And that's really what playing this level is about. And again, if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm notorious for just pushing pawns with a major piece underneath it. And that's just what I'm trying here. And I really expected this take, and then I really wanted my queen sitting here. I mean, if that happened, that gives me a potential win. But yeah, Holly's like, yeah, dude, I'm not falling for that. Are you kidding? So, so here, this might be a little surprising, but that's check, has to be dealt with. And it's actually an even trade. Now, I've heard a lot of people, well, I've heard mixed. I've heard some people say that in this position, that's okay. Other people say no. I think it really just depends on what's going on inside your head. What are you trying to accomplish? And right now, I'm trying to accomplish, I want to clear out this king side, and I want to lay down the hammer. Trying a little bit more aggressive, but if I get too aggressive, my ideas fall apart. So, because there's, okay, so if we count it up, it's 6 points. So it's a, you know, a zero-sum game there, because my opponent lost 6 points, I lost 6 points. Okay, so let's keep this going. Here I'm, yeah, I mean, this knight, I'm eyeing this knight. It does give me a lot of trouble. I should have done this to maybe kick him out, you know, or take. But, you know, because my queen was here. So I could have done, you know, and I looked at that. I really wanted this lined up. And so that's what I went for. So here I'm sacrificing. Now, that sacrifice, in my opinion, isn't as bad as it looks. Because, yes, I lost a minor piece, but my opponent lost 2 pawns, which is 2 points, and I lose 3 points, but this king is heavily exposed now. There is 0 pawns on this side of the board. So this is where a human has to look at this and analyze it and say, you know, maybe it's worth it. This pawn is protected here. So, in my opinion, it was worth it. It was just something I wanted to try. And so anyway, obviously that's what I did. And so I wanted this beautiful pawn structure here. The computer says, yeah, okay. But the best move would have been to get this rook into the game. And on analyzing it, yeah, I agree with that. I just missed it in the game when I was playing. I was excited to get my 3 pawn structure. I do not like my king being, you know, so exposed like this, especially with so many pieces. And there's so many pieces pointed down in this direction. You know, this was a risk. Okay, so let's get to it. So, unfortunately, I was sad about exchanging my queens because with these pawns, I was really hoping to get something going. Holly says I'm not having it, and so now I've got, my pawn being attacked. So one thing about the end game is you have to be bold with your king, and I don't like to be. And here in a minute, you're going to see me using my king all over the board. Sometimes I have a tendency to keep my king tucked away towards the end game. Not cool. Big mistake. Get him towards the center of the board, protecting things. Get him to work. It's just kind of like if you were managing a restaurant or something, and nobody was making French fries, but there's an employee in the back, has been taking out trash for 20 minutes. Get him out there, get him making French fries. I know that's a stupid analogy, but maybe that'll help. Okay, so yeah, and there's that knight that I should have dealt with long ago, but I was trying to keep the hammer down. Here he comes. Okay, so the reason why I thought, I'm going to get my knight out of trouble because I like this, and nothing about this is changing. I'm going to go ahead and get my knight out of trouble first. I'm going to slow down my tempo just a little bit. One of my weaknesses I have is I get it going too fast and my ideas fall apart. Okay, so I'm going to slow down my tempo, protect my knight. Okay, if I want to take, that's fine. I've got options, but so okay, and it doesn't really disturb my tempo. That's the thing. If it disturbed my tempo too much, then maybe we'd take a look at that. And so, yeah, I'm about to lose a rook. Holly did a great job with that fork right there. I confess, that was great. And so, okay. And again, I like this, so I'm going to go ahead, and I really like this pawn structure. When I started, you know what they say in chess, a bad plan is better than no plan. Yeah, that's pretty true. So my plan was to keep the hammer down on the king side and have no pawns sitting over there. And I'm getting close to achieving that. I lost my rook. And so here, I have to decide, okay, one of these pieces are going to escape, and, one I'm going to capture. Well, in an endgame like this, I really don't want the two bishops hammering away at me because I've only got one piece. It's a major piece, but I've only got one piece. So I decided it was best to take out the bishop, and so now now the knight's here and it's backed up by this pawn. So I do see a fork, and that's what I do. Okay. And so now it's starting to look a little better. And so, okay. So, yeah, I did lose that pawn. And so now I'm down 2 points. So now back to check. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. So I go here for check. It's backed up by this pawn, and it protects this pawn. Computer says I should have pushed, and I looked at that, and I mean, ideally, what would have been nice is this, then I go here, take, I got a queen, and then here is the beauty. I think this is why the computer says it's a mistake. This is why I should have been trying, according to the computer. Who knows better than I do? This, I go here, it's check, king does, whatever, wherever it goes, probably here or something. But anyway, then I take this. Now we got queen against knight. So, okay, but that's not what I did. Let me go back one more. Sorry, there we go. I thought about this. This is a tough decision to make. I was afraid, something like this happens. Excuse me. Then I go here. Oh, well, okay. You know, I could have got the, okay, yeah, because this is, okay, this is what the computer wanted me to do. Did not see this in the game. Did not see this. This two pawns, a rook cannot stop two pawns in their natural state side by side. If they're double stacked or something, absolutely. But, you know, um, it's not going to let me act it out, but you just keep this pattern, and then it picks one to take off, and then the other one becomes a queen. So this pattern cannot be stopped. So, yep, that's what. Okay, that's what it was. I missed that in the game. So anyway, this is supposed to be about helping the audience battle Holly, but I gotta tell you, she's pretty tough. So I'm just sharing my ideas out loud, and maybe that can help. So this is what I did. Totally missed that. I was just thinking about promoting this one pawn. Totally should have done something there. But okay, so big mistake on my part. But let's keep this going because this gets really interesting. Now I'm trying to promote, and there's a lot of back and forth. This is a perfect example of how one piece by itself can't do much, and it requires both pieces. And so I thought about going there, but I mean, there's what did the computer do at this point? Probably go here. There's a lot of back and forth. I don't think it would have led to a win, but just a lot of chasing around. But anyway, so it was something I was aware of. Excuse me. But let's get back to the game on what actually happened. So I went here, back and check again. And I just didn't want to get pinned up against the wall. I'll have to look at that a little closer because I like to try to get, excuse me, the king towards the center of the board, towards the end game. This is very disturbing to me. I got to be very careful of this. Anyway, okay, so excuse me, I'm sorry. I just ate an apple and I think it's halfway down the wrong pipe or something. Okay, so I thought about taking that pawn. It ends up that way anyway. There's probably, you know, a quicker, better way. It's just like a lot of times when I do puzzles, I'll see a mate in 4 or something, and I'll go for it. I'm like, yeah, this is right. It's mate in 4, and then I get it wrong, and it turns out it's actually a mate in 3, and some other thing that I didn't see. So I'm bad about that. Once I see it, I need to stop and slow down and analyze a little better. Okay, so like I said, I always try to get my king in the center of the board in the end game, with all things being equal. Pawns may change my mind about that, but anyway, I'm trying to get this a queen, so let's see. Now, I'm finally in a place where I can't get checked. If he comes here, I've got a couple different options to retake. So now that I finally can't get in check, well, he says, well, I'll stop you from queening. So I try to come here, take, and then it becomes a queen. And then it's just to clean up these pawns. Good fundamental chess should lead to a victory. So he says, no, I'm not going to let you do that either. So, or she doesn't, sorry, Holly. And so this is a little tricky. Some things happening. I'm about to make a queen sacrifice. Like, I got to get rid of some of these pawns. And so now, the only reason why I let this happen is because this king is cut off, is too far away. She is, Holly, Mrs. Claus, is too far away to do anything about that queen sacrifice, because this, take, and now I can get my queen back because the king is too far away. And so here comes, now the king is cut off because I own all that. And I realized these two pieces together could form a box, you just want to make it smaller and smaller, and then finally trap the king. But I saw an opportunity for a queen, and so I did it the lazy man way. And you can see I just keep going back and forth, and now I'm here. Whoops, sorry. Ah, I can't draw an arrow all of a sudden. Okay, so now I'm here and here, and I'm just boxing in, and so now she says, you know, hey, you want to try that again? So you have to stop and be careful because she is trying for a stalemate. So something to be aware of. I've had plenty of games now. I own this and this where I should have won, and I just get silly with it and end up in a stalemate. And there it is finally. So move 70. I hope that helps. Holly is a difficult bot. This game, a lot of back and forth. Things were getting pretty serious.
I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious.
And yeah, she's a tough bot. My advice, my biggest takeaway is to take your time and just enjoy it. And hopefully that helps. I made a lot of mistakes too, and you know, I'm a long way from being any kind of master or anything. But maybe just my ideas, because I have beaten her. I don't know how many times I've played, 3 or 4 times, whatever. And so maybe that can help you. And so that's my goal here. So, hey, thanks a lot and have a great day.